Yeah. Welcome one. Welcome all. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Villain Report, where we don't sugarcoat a damn thing. I am your host, Russell Wayne, the 313 villain, the UDFA of sports podcasting, the undrafted free agent of sports podcasting, the Tom Kennedy, if you will, the Dan Skipper, if you will, of sports podcasting, the unwanted, the unfiltered, the unapologetic voice of the fan base that bleeds Honolulu blue. In today's episode, it's Theory Thursday. We're going to hit some of them theories. And one of the theories is we've got some guys that are coming back from injury. Lions getting stronger. Nobody's talking about it. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to continue this talk. I still want to see if anybody can provide me with some trade candidates that we missed out on that were available, if it's out there, or how that works for all the teams that it doesn't work for. So we're going to talk about that today. This episode is brought to you by Fanatics.com. Yeah, if you bleed Honolulu blue, or hell, if you bleed any of the teams, the 31 other teams in the NFL, then you can gear up like the real one over here. We don't do fake jerseys. We don't do unofficial. We do official jerseys over here. That's right. Every click supports the channel. Every QR code that you go use that QR code, save up to 25% off of your order from our affiliate marketing partner at Fanatics. We don't do knockoffs. We do official. We do Fanatics. Get yours. The UDFA of sports podcasting. Yeah, the UDFA. Yeah, the YouTube. Yeah, we got Facebook, yeah, the Macho Man will watch it anywhere, anytime, any place. Yeah, dig it. The Macho Man elbow is going to be dropping on Super Mario. We don't care. Yeah, dig it. 1, 2, 3. Join us. Join us. If you're a fan of Detroit sports, especially liking, commenting, and subscribing, however you can do that. I mean, really, just put a comment in there. Ask a question. Be part of the conversation. We are approaching 100,000 followers on the Facebook page right there. Thank you to everybody that's been supporting the page. I would have never dreamed that it would get to be like this. I'm just a fan, a super fan with a microphone, talking trash here every day at 10 a.m. on the Villain Report. But I do put my faith first, faith, family, and then football. In that order. Use football. Don't let football change you. Use football. Create memories. Spend time with your family. Don't let football use you. And welcome one, welcome all. Welcome. Yes. It's Thursday. Happy Thursday to everybody that's out there. Let's say hello to all of the early birds that are here, like Davey. You like that? Let's say hello to Dwayne in the house.
You just made the list!
Nealon's family and friends passed away. What? Wow. That's crazy. I didn't even know about that. That's crazy. At 24 years old, yes, definitely prayers. Prayers for his family. I mean, this is just... that's crazy. What I did not hear about that. Been trying to get ready for the show today, and I did not know that. I mean, I am very sorry to hear that. That's crazy. Oh man. Dwayne,
you like that?
Thank you for that. I don't like the news, but right there. I like my game-worn Dexter Bussy jersey. And that's where I was at. There you go. I like that.
You like that?
I like that part. Broski welcoming himself to the chat.
You like that?
Fred's here. What's up, Fred?
You just made the list.
What's up, Paul Jones?
You just made the list.
What's up, Tyler?
You just made the list.
And Rick C, man.
You like that?
The usual suspects are in here, and I love it. I love it. Talking some football today. And what are we going to do? Let me go in here, and I want to pull up some kind of article on what happened with Nealon. And I got the Dallas news over here. Let me bring this over here and read this. So I'm taking this from the Dallas Morning News. Dallas Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Nealon died this morning at the age of 24. It's extreme sadness. Okay, they released a statement on that. Yeah, I'm looking for info on it other than, I mean, there's news of the passing. I'm looking for something that says what happened. CBS Sports, you got anything on here? That's nuts. That's nuts. I'm not seeing anything that happened. Why? NBC News. Yeah, my condolences go to the family. My prayers, thoughts, prayers. 24 years old. What a tragedy. It's too much. That's too young. Oh man. Yeah, they haven't really released anything on the what happened or anything, but that's just too much. That's a lot. That's a lot to get broke right here. In my mind right here, I gotta get my head back into the game right here, and I wish that I had more to give you guys on that, other than thoughts and prayers. Once again, I'll do my spiel on thoughts and prayers because I know that not everybody is a believer in God, but please just trust that I am a believer in God, and I believe that thoughts carry weight because you don't have to think them. It is your choice to think them. So when you think positive thoughts, or you're thinking healing thoughts in this way, that your thoughts carry weight. And the difference between thoughts and prayer is, I believe in Jesus Christ. So when I'm making these thoughts and I'm having these thoughts, I add the words in Jesus' name at the end, because that's who I believe in. That's who I'm asking for the healing powers for the family. But if you don't believe in God, I believe that thought that you have, if you just think a good thought about Marshawn Nealon's family, comforting thought, that carries weight, and God will honor that. And that's what I believe. So if you do that, then you can type thoughts and prayers into the comments, and I will, I believe that gets honored by my creator that I believe in. Yeah, we don't know how he died yet. It's just that it's been reporting that he did die, and that the details are not out yet of that. But that's awful in any way. It doesn't matter what way that he died, as long as he wasn't like murdered. I mean, obviously, but it doesn't really matter which way that he died. It's too much. It's way too much of a tragedy at 24 years old. Oh man, I'm recovering from that for a second. So let's try to move on right here. Let me find a different one, a topic that we can get into here, which is we are missing the playoffs this year, according to Andrew, because of Morton. So some more John Morton hate on here. He is one that agrees with one of my comrades from this show, Chris Jericho. And I'm sorry if you guys have already seen some of this stuff, but the ones that haven't seen it, that's what we're trying to do right here. So I'm gonna let you know, Andrew, that you're not the only one that feels like this. Baby Chris Jericho also feels like this.
Oh, Johnny boy, you want to dial up those stupid screenplays, huh? You want to do that silly little dink and dunk crap that goes nowhere? Well, do ya? Huh? You think Lion fans gonna sit here and watch another 3-yard disaster on 3rd and 8? You know what I think about that, John? You know what happens when you waste Jahmyr Gibbs' talent? When you take the ball out of Amon-Ra's hands? When you turn Ford Field into a screen pass convention? Do ya? John Morton!
You just made the list!
Well, there you go. I mean, I don't agree with you. I don't believe that we're going to lose because of John Morton. But let's let that bring up an interesting conversation. Because let's say that it is John Morton. We have another guy on our that's part of the Lions organization named David Shaw, who is the passing game coordinator. And I've heard a couple people bring this up. If they do have another bad performance from the offense again, do you think that it's possible that David Shaw would replace John Morton? Would Dan Campbell have the cojones to switch that midseason and go with David Shaw? Because David Shaw, a lot of people would have believed that was more qualified to be an offensive coordinator than even John Morton. So if we believe that it's John Morton, and I don't believe that it's John Morton. I believe that the offensive woes are more on the offensive line. And, you know, they hit on a lot of the long plays, and they can do the short stuff, the dink and dunk stuff like that. But when it comes to the mid-range stuff, the move the chain stuff is where it's been lacking in that area. But the offense is still the 8th ranked offense in the NFL. So it might not be as good as Ben Johnson yet. But I mean, I'm not really willing to jump off of the ship quite yet, considering I've already thrown my opinion out there from the last game, which I believe that the number one thing on the list, and I still don't see anybody else talking about it, is the special teams. You gave up 2 kickoff returns that ended up putting the Minnesota Vikings in the Lions territory to start. And then they had a blocked field goal, which turned into points. That was a 6-point turnaround. I was wrong the other day. I thought they scored a touchdown afterwards, but after checking it, no, they went down and they kicked the field goal. A 6-point turnaround. So, to me, more of the loss, I would say more than half of the loss has got to be put onto the special teams with it. And I'm not saying that John Morton doesn't deserve criticism. Let's put that out there. I am not saying he doesn't deserve criticism. I just think that it's down the line a little bit more. You know, special teams was definitely a huge factor in the loss. You got to do better. You can't be giving up 60-yard returns. They're lucky they didn't give up another touchdown after that in returns. And then a blocked field goal, that's on your special teams coach. That's on your special teams coach. And I'm surprised that nobody else is talking about it. I mean, to me, it's an obvious thing. It's easy to blame the quarterback who had a 110 quarterback rating in this last game, by the way. It's easy to just blame John Morton's play calling when you're playing from behind and you're sitting there and, third down and 8+ every single time. There's not a lot of plays that you can call that are going to fix that. So I don't totally agree with that. I believe that there's something in there. The mid-range passing game isn't there this year, so he does deserve criticism, but I don't know about the highest level criticism. If the special teams don't get fixed, they're going to be losing a lot of games like this because you can't give up field position like that. That's just my opinion. What do you think about that? I've asked that. I brought that up a couple times on this show this week. But special teams, does special teams coordinator David Phipp need more criticism in the height of all of this right here? Because the knee-jerk reaction is to say the offense. But the offense didn't play as bad as the special teams did. Harold said that cracked me up yesterday on YouTube. Lions are not missing the playoffs. We don't believe that. Detroit Fan Man says, but replacing Morton with his own best friend that he brought in himself would be kind of savage, though, right? Yeah, it would be savage, but I ain't trying to make friends here. We're trying to win football games, right? And if David Shaw's the better guy, he's the better guy. And if you're like me, I believe that David Shaw was a better candidate for that. But I like having both of the guys. But I don't think that John Morton deserves as much criticism as he's getting this week. Mark says that Morton won't be replaced this year. And Morton is on a shorter leash. I believe that. And here's a good question by Broski, and I promise I'm not going to let Broski take over the show again. But he was the only one that was asking questions. Let Broski be the example here for you. You can ask questions. It would help if you don't respond to Broski and ask me questions, and then I can read your question and we can address it. But do you think there's a bigger decline in the Lions defense or the Lions offense this year? It seems like the Lions offense is really missing Ben Johnson. Well, I don't think there's any. The defense is better than it was last year. Actually, quite a bit better than it was last year. The defense didn't even play that bad in the last game. They gave 17 points with 2 short fields in the first half. And then, they only gave up 13 points in the second half. And they were playing from behind the whole time. But the defense is much better this year. Kelvin Shepard's got this defense playing much, much better. And they were even missing the pieces. We didn't have a Liam McNeil for the first 8 weeks. So I definitely think it's the offense, Broski. The offense needs the most. But even the offense, you were the 3rd or 2nd ranked offense last year with Ben Johnson by the end of the season. Right now, you're the 8th ranked offense. They've dropped 5-6 spots in the rankings. And I would argue they've played a hell of a lot better defenses this year than they did last year, which is, that's one of the banes of having a first place schedule is you're going to have to play harder teams. So I definitely think it's the offense that's lacking. Johnny says, we will get to the playoffs, but Morton needs to be fired immediately. See, I think that's an overreaction. But Chris Jericho, baby Chris Jericho agrees with you, Johnny. So it's amazing. All week, fans I've seen on podcasts and Facebook after the loss this past weekend and not getting anyone in a trade. It's amazing all the week, fans I have seen on podcasts and Facebook after the loss this past week and not getting anyone in a trade. It's been that way. And that's one thing that I try to do on this show. I try to take a different approach, try to show you a different point of view. And literally every Facebook podcaster is all on the trades. Oh, you can't win without making trades. And I offered this question up yesterday, and I'm not going to get too deep in it, but I'm throwing it out there. I am not willing to accept somebody that comes on here and just says they're not going to win, and the only way you can win is by making big trades. I am not going to accept that. I'm not going to address that if that's all you're going to put in the comments. What I am requiring you is to tell me which trade that was made, and I'm talking realistic trades. I'm not talking about your Madden franchise where you can just go to any team and get any guy that you want by throwing them enough trade capital. You have to have willing partners. Willing partners. And the way I look at willing partners is to look at the game that was played, which was which trades were made. And out of the trades that were made, which one of those trades did Brad Holmes miss out on that you wanted? There were some big trades that were made, so I can accept whatever guy that you want to argue with me about on here. But I didn't see a trade on there that would have helped out the Lions all that much. Especially with what they've got coming back this year. So offer me up something to argue about other than somebody else made a trade and it worked. It worked in 2021 for Matt Stafford. The FM picks worked. Yeah, that's where FM picks came from. Yes, it did work in 2021. What else? There was no other big trades that were made. Did it work out for Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers? They went all in. They got their guy. Did they win a Super Bowl? It didn't work for them. How about Deshaun Watson? How about the Browns? When they had the best defense in the league and all they needed was a quarterback. They traded away 3 ones for Deshaun Watson. That should have made them a contender, right? They didn't win the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, that destroyed their team. And that's the point. You know, you want to tell me it's risky to not go get a trade? That doesn't risk anything. That means you just believe in your guys and you're not risking anything. What's a risk is risking draft capital, roster spots, and getting guys that you don't know what they're going to be on your team. That's a risk. Now, does the risk pay off every once in a while? Sure. It did in 2021. But just trading a bunch of capital just to trade what was out there? What was out there that was missed by Brad Holmes that would have put us over the edge? What was out there? And you can't say Max Crosby. You can't say offensive linemen. You can't say stuff that wasn't available. Because this isn't Madden. This is reality. Now, I understand being frustrated not making a trade. I would have liked to see them make a trade. I did. I would have liked to see them make a trade if they could. If there was one available to them. But I didn't see one on there. I mean, we got Terrion Arnold. I get the Sauce Gardner. I get it for Indianapolis. I do. You know, you're got one of the best records in the NFL. And you needed a cornerback, so you went all in to get a cornerback. Now, will that pay off? Is Indianapolis going to win the Super Bowl now? I don't know. It might work. Fred is speaking to the offense-defense question that Broski put in, which is the Lions only allowed 116 passing yards, less than 50 from Jetta, less than 50 from Addison, less than 50 yards from Hawkinson. Special teams allowed them to be in the great position to score. And that to me, that's where I'm at. I watched the game. And I'm not, and my emotion from the loss left like the day after the game. You know, you let that go, and now you're looking at the game and what happened in the game. Well, the special teams was a hell of a lot more detrimental to the win and loss than the offense. Hell, the offense almost had a chance to win the game at the end. So, and I'm not saying that they played well. Rick doesn't believe with me. Yep. It's all Morton when they win, but everyone else to blame when they lose. Well, let me ask you, Rick, do you think that the special teams played well? Do you think that the special teams played better than the offense did? Because when I'm looking at the number one gripes, I don't see anybody bitching about the special teams. I don't. Nobody said anything other than me about special teams all this week. Now, maybe somebody's talking about it now, but I'm the only one that brought it up. I'm just trying to hold everybody accountable that needs to be held accountable for. I'm not giving Morton a pass. But when Chris Jericho's making his lists, John Morton's not on the top of the list, and neither is Jared Goff. Jahmyr Gibbs is higher on the list than John Morton to me. Special teams is higher on that list than John Morton to me. But Morton's on that list. I put Morton probably 3 or 4 on that list for the reasons why. But you can't give up punt returns and kick returns that let the opponent start in your territory more than once. Right here, Mark G. Morton could be a little more creative with that play calling, and I agree. Get more creative. They're really good at hitting the home runs, and they can sure as hell throw a screen pass. Tons of screen passes. Maybe too many screen passes. I'll give you that, Mark. I agree with that. Well, I'm not going to bring that one up. I don't believe that Morton is a moron. Some trades work out, some don't. Sometimes you're smart not making any trades. And the thing is, Steve, is we won't know. We're not going to know if it's smart until the end of the season. I mean, you as a Packer fan, I mean, you most certainly think that you are hoping that all in works because you're all in. You spent multiple firsts trying to get Micah Parsons, and that's in an effort to win the Super Bowl this year. You're not going to do that for any other reason. Is you're going all in, you want to win the Super Bowl. But the Indianapolis Colts also went all in to win the Super Bowl. The Dallas Cowboys, for some stupid reason, the Dallas Cowboys win it all in because evidently they're close enough to win a Super Bowl. And my point to this isn't to poo-poo the all in or the F them picks mentality. My point for all of this is to prove that it doesn't work a hell of a lot more than it does work. I mean, if you want to count the Philadelphia Eagles as one of those teams that goes all in on trades, I don't think so. because they went all in when they got A.J. Brown. They didn't win the Super Bowl that year. The Kansas City Chiefs did. The Kansas City Chiefs did by not going all in. By not replacing offensive linemen when everybody thought that they should. Didn't get any skill positions to replace Hill. And they won the Super Bowl. So standing pat also works. And all in only works for one team if it does work. And the last time that it worked was F them picks in 2021. So we're talking 5 years ago that it worked. It's funny because the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl the year after they went all in. And then they lost some players. They lost their coordinator that year. They lost a bunch of players, and then they win the Super Bowl that year. They didn't go all in on any of that stuff. They got some third-round pick for Jalen Phillips. I don't call that all in. I wouldn't have minded that trade, and I don't mind if you use that one as a criticism. Oh, they should have went and got Jalen Phillips. Okay. I'll accept that. We didn't have a third-round pick to give them, so we would have had to pay a second. So that's the question. Is Jalen Phillips the one that pushes them over the edge? So I think it's an interesting conversation. I try to show you the other side of it. Dwayne Keene says that believe in Brad and Dan. They've been cooking since they've been here. And I love that take because that's it. That's what it's been. They haven't changed who they are. They've been building it the same way. And it's the fan base that comes out and says, oh, you need to do it. You need to do it. It's like, we have never done it like that. They've never done it like that. The players that we have to try to get under contract for long term are better than the players that are available. That's what they believe. Detroit Fan Man says, but the O-line has been bad since Mahogany went to IR. Meanwhile, now our O-tackles aren't practicing. At least Moody is back on the practice squad. Well, that's not entirely true. I mean, they have Sewell's going to be fine. I saw Tim Twentyman article that said that he's going to be fine. Taylor Decker, we'll have to see what's going on there. We got Skip to back him up. We have reserves right now. That we also brought back, and that's the another part of my topic right here, which is the Lions are getting stronger and nobody's talking about it. And we are. We're getting stronger, and everybody's so wrapped up in what we didn't get at the trade deadline. Josh Pascal started practicing. They opened up his practice window, so he's going to be back soon. Miles Frazier, offensive lineman. Multifaceted offensive lineman is coming back. Malcolm Rodriguez was practicing this week. So there are a nice little shot in the arm of guys that are coming back. And I mean, whatever you think about the guys, it doesn't really matter, but that's the reality of it. Where are you at, Fred? I'm looking for Fred's comment that he nailed. Where's Fred's comment that he nailed? Lions were 5 for 17 on third downs. There you go. Morton didn't draw penalties, giving the Vikings first downs on third downs, blaming only Morton for the loss versus the Vikings. Let me take a. Okay, I'll read it. I'm gonna try to read this. My reading skills aren't good today. Morton didn't draw penalties, giving the Vikings first downs on third down, blaming only Morton for the loss versus the Vikings is weak. Let's see. Okay, that's where the F-bomb came in there with Rick C on his F-bomb. Mark C says the Commanders aren't playing well right now and they're banged up. Steve says we got curb stomp Sundays. We didn't make any trades. Am I upset? Nope. I didn't want to give up any more draft picks for guys that might not work out. And Steve, I actually count you guys in the trade because I count Micah Parsons. I know that it was a trade deadline. You didn't do anything, but you guys did your trade deadline before the season. Trading 2 first-round picks for Micah Parsons. That's all in, baby. That's it. That's it. So that's what Fred nailed. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you don't want to only blame Morton. But I also don't want to give Morton a 100% pass, just like Rick's talking about. Morton hasn't been good all season. It's just covered up by great talent. And there could be truth to that. I mean, you think about where they got a big part of their offense. You know, you're talking like, you know, big 75-yard touchdowns. Like, that's not Morton. I mean, he freaking handed the ball off and went right up the middle. So, there is truth. I give Morton some blame, Rick. He does get blame. He just gets it after Jahmyr Gibbs and after special teams. And then I'll put him in there. Paul Jones says, I blame the long snapper. Get him out of here.
You've had enough of that shit.
Get him out of here. Trim Reaper says the D-line is going to set the tone in Washington. There you go. Mark Orlando says if Demo doesn't fumble and that field goal doesn't get blocked, we're looking at a completely different outcome. Yes, you're looking at a Lions win. Demo fumble and the blocked field goal. That's 2 very good points. I blame Jahmyr Gibbs more because he had go look at the tape and him trying to block. I think he gave up a pressure on every blocking attempt that he had. That's why I put more of it on Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, I know that you're supposed to pretend block for a little bit and then you're supposed to go out for a pass. Well, that's where the Vikings deserve some credit because they didn't allow Gibbs. They would send people in blitz spots to force Jahmyr Gibbs to stay in to block, and it wasn't good. And it wasn't good. You get defensive every time someone mentions John Morton's name. You're clearly giving him a pass. All right. I'm giving him a pass, I guess, even though I just said that I'm not giving him a pass. I agree with Rick on this one. Okay, so Corey believes I'm giving him a pass too.
Acknowledge me.
What's up? Trim Reaper in the house. I wonder what would be said if the Lions lose to the Commanders on Sunday. I mean, I'm not going to give them a pass if they lose to the Commanders on Sunday. Without Jaden Daniels in that lineup, I'm not giving them a pass for that. You can't. When I sit up here and give Marcus Mariota credit, you got to beat a team that is got their backup quarterback. You just do. We are having communications issues with both his QB, and he hides in the booth instead of the sidelines where he belongs. That's pretty moronic. I mean, the thing is like, am I giving Morton a pass? I don't think I'm giving Morton a pass. I just think that I'm willing to criticize Morton when you want to stick his teeth up on the sidewalk and you want to curb stomp him out of the city. And I think that's an overreaction. There's a difference between giving somebody a pass, which I'm not. He needs to be better. He needs to be better in the mid-range stuff and to be able to convert on third down and keep drives going. He does need to be better, but completely moronic. He needs to be fired. I mean, that's an overreaction, in my opinion. That's not giving him a pass. I'm saying that's an overreaction. Sounds to me like you're giving the special teams a pass, and I'm not allowed to talk about special teams, even though that was a way bigger part in the loss than John Morton's offense. Fred calling out Steve, saying, hey, Steve, no disrespect. Probably no difference in the Packers after the Panthers loss. I got to defend Steve on this one a little bit, Fred. The Panthers have won like 4 or 5 in a row now. This isn't some garbage team. This is a team that's probably one of the hotter teams in the NFL that they lost to. I think the Carolina Panthers could beat a lot of teams right now. One of those sleeper teams. So maybe you didn't know that, but yeah, that was like their 4th or 5th win in a row. Trim Reaper says, I'm excited for the health of our defense at this time of the year. Last time that the line said F them picks was to try to save a coach's job. Flowers was a terrible trade, and it was too costly. No way Brad Holmes would make that mistake like that. I don't believe that was a trade, Fred. I don't think that we traded for Flowers. I think that we just signed him in free agency. But that's still a big move. You went out and made the big move. Mark G says, I think that Campbell and Morton need to come up with better play schemes on how to expose their opponent's weaknesses. Maybe study game tapes a little bit more. Okay. I think that they're studying game tape like nonstop. Absolutely. And absolutely no one is blaming only Morton. Well, that's all I've seen in here. That's all. I can only react to what's in here, Rick. I can only react to what's being put in this chat. And they're either blaming John Morton or they're blaming Jared Goff. That is 70% of what's out there. One of those two things is being blamed. And now, since the trade deadline's over, you can add in trade. They didn't trade for anybody. That's why we're losing. Let me see what we got in here. The Montgomery fumble. Yeah, that's a fair. Who asked Jahmyr Gibbs to pass block? Jared Goff did. Jared Goff did. They gave up 5 sacks. And Gibbs was in there as the last line of defense and gave up a pressure on every single attempt. So Jared Goff is asking Gibbs to block. And like I said, that's not something that you want to have happen. You don't want to leave Gibbs in there to block. That was something that was dictated by the defense. And that's where Brian Flores deserves credit. He deserves credit. When you force the best playmakers to stay inside, because there's no, what are you going to do? Go out for a pass and give them a free rush? Gibbs blocking. You have to be able to pass protect in the NFL as a running back. That's well documented. I'm not the only person that said it. People way smarter than me have said it. Man, you guys are good on the comments today. I like you guys in here. It's not Goff. Oh, God. Okay. You know what? I should just stop going after comments, guys. I'm trying to read everybody's comments, and everybody's misunderstood here. What did I miss, Rick? What did I miss this time? What did I miss? I mean, you're calling me out for. I've also pointed out John Morton. I've pointed out Jared Goff. I've pointed out David Montgomery. I've pointed out special teams. What did I miss, Rick? I've missed everything. It's only Goff's fault on the audibles. It is John Morton's fault on on the other play calls. Sure. I mean, they lost the game. It's Demo's fault for fumbling the ball when they had a chance to tie the game. I mean, John Morton's play calling was good enough to put them in a position to have a chance to win at the end of the game. The defense didn't get a stop. And that's what was out there. And it wasn't a good game by the offense all the way around. I mean, really, I feel like if you're blaming Goff or you're blaming Morton, you're really blaming the same thing, because the offensive line. Tyler's got a question in here. I don't know if I answered Tyler's question. Yeah, let's get in here. Let's see if I can find Tyler's question. How far up was that? Man, you guys are doing good on the questions today, I guess. I gotta find Tyler in here. Keep going. Gotta find it. I think this is it. Hey, Russ, just a thought. I would like your opinion on, I was diving deep into the Lions offensive linemen. What do you think about putting Kingsley at center, where he played in college, his career, and move Glasgow to guard, where he's more comfortable? Tried at Washington. That is banged up. Just a thought. That question was brought up to Dan Campbell. And Tristan Colon is the name that was brought up as the first guy to go in there. I like Kingsley as far as somebody that knows the offense, but he's not as physically gifted. He's a little bit smaller of an offensive lineman. Not quite as like physically gifted as you want in there, but he does play well. I think that's a good line of defense as a second, third string type of guy, but they got Tristan Colon in there. They may move him, and they might move Glasgow over to guard. Like I said, they just activated Miles Frazier, their 6th-round draft pick, who was having a phenomenal camp before he got injured, which might help out a little bit. I mean, they have guys. Like, this idea that we have no depth at offensive line is a myth. There's plenty of depth in there. They may not have the right combination of guys in there, but Awasika has playoff experience, and he's been on the team the whole year. Frazier's good. Cologne's been active for the last couple of weeks out there. They got guys that have been practicing with us since the beginning of the season. And as far as the trades go with that, the Lions believe in the guys that they know. They know those guys. It's like they know what they do good, and they also know what they don't do good. You bring in a guy from the outside, you don't know. You have to take the time to figure that out. So right now, Yodi is the left guard for right now. But what I'd like to see happen is the least amount of movement possible. I mean, I know he said shuffle up the offensive line, but I think that you got to try to take care of it without doing such a big shuffle first. You know, you try Coyote at that spot and see if that fixes it first. Yeah, you're right. We're not going to have these issues anymore. I don't think I'm going to get as deep into answering everybody's comments, because you have to realize that most of your comments on here between everybody is you guys talking with each other. So I have to read through your conversations with each other live while trying to keep the show interesting, answer questions, and I have to find the questions in between a bunch of conversations. So it's not easy to try to do that. And it obviously doesn't help my show if I'm frustrating everybody, which means I may have to look for a new way to do my show, because I don't want to lose everybody that's watching the show because I'm not good at reading comments or like seeing in between 5 different comments of the ones that I missed. Oh, God. I'm very frustrated today, guys. Yeah, I think I'm going to cut this one out early today. Lions getting stronger in here. I'm going to stop belly aching and get off the air right here. I've had a very, very hard night. I had to put my dog to sleep yesterday, and I'm just not having a good day. So I'm just going to chalk it up as that. I'm not in a good mood now, and I guess I'll stop belly aching and get off the show. Thank you guys for watching the show. Brought to you by Fanatics. Do official. Get yours. My name is Russell Wayne. I'm the villain. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again. In Jesus' name, amen, guys. Sorry I'm awful today, and I'll try to do better tomorrow. God bless you guys. Talk to you soon.
Okay, Brad, this is what we're doing now. The Colts and Cowboys are out there building the Avengers, and you want to collect bargain bin Pokemon cards? You want to sign some guy nobody's ever heard of off a practice squad? That's your big move, huh? Do you know what happens when the entire fan base is sitting around refreshing their phones like it's Black Friday, waiting for anything from you? Huh, Bradley? Do ya? Do you know what happens when you let the moment pass? When you let the league party without you and you sign a player whose Madden rating is NA? Bradley Holmes!
You just made the list!